got to think differently about who we are and what this world is doing to us. We have to think differently. You ever see Harriet Tubman with a gun? Rarely. You rarely see Harriet Tubman with a gun, because many of the artists who portrayed Harriet Tubman, painted her, all of this, they didn't want you to think that we should carry a gun. So they said, well, let's kind of calm Harriet down. Now this film is coming out supposedly on November 1st about Harriet Tubman. She carries a gun. And someone told me today that this will be the first film where they show Harriet shooting. Isn't that interesting? So they want us to be passive. There's a book by Akinyele Umoja. Some of you know him, head of Black Studies University. It's called We Will Shoot Back. And I think all black folks should read that book, because we are at war. Say that again. We are at war.
If you do not understand white supremacy, racism, what it is and how it works, everything else you think you understand will only confuse you.
Only confuse you. So what Neely Fuller is saying, if you don't understand racism, white supremacy, you will be confused about everything you think you understand. 10 things black people in America must understand. And I want somebody to come up here and read number one.
White supremacists have officially waged a holy war against you. They call it
Raho. Okay. White supremacists have officially waged a war against black people. That's not what I think, that's what I know. That's what happened in El Paso a couple of weekends ago. That is what is happening right now in Portland, Oregon. If you've seen the news right before you came, they are fighting in the streets in Portland, Oregon. The white supremacists have declared war against black people. Now, we start, well, let me know, I'm going to comment when I get through. Let's read number 2. Okay, you're going to read number 2. He's reading number 2.
There are no official agencies willing to protect our constitutional rights against white supremacy.
Read that one more time.
There are no official agencies willing to protect our constitutional rights against white supremacy.
Will the Supreme Court protect you?
No.
It won't. Will the Justice Department under that guy, William Barr, will he protect you?
No, sir.
No, he's not going to protect you. Will Donald Trump protect you? No. You know what always gets me is when I see these Donald Trump rallies and all these people are behind him, you always see 3 or 4 black faces in there. Those are confused black people. They're confused. You see? Let's read number 3.
Being sensitive or emotional about this reality will not help you.
With all
You must think strategically at this point.
Exactly. Jesus ain't going to save us. Now, I know I'm not trying to step on somebody's toes with that, but see, I see people like when Trayvon was killed, when Sandra Bland was killed, people say, well, we just got to pray for things. No, we have to be careful and do things that will protect our children. And that calls for the Black August movement. Read number 4.
You have a constitutional and God-given right to protect yourself by any means from white supremacist terrorists.
I have a right to protect me, my family, everybody. I have a right to do that. And it's God-given. George Jackson believed that. Angela Davis believed that. Back in 1998, I was teaching at Fisk University, and Angela Davis, that's how I actually met her. She called me up and asked me to go with her to Europe, and specifically to Strasbourg, France, to testify before the European Court against the death penalty in the United States. And we did that. And I remember as we were riding the train from Paris to Strasbourg, I asked Angela, I said, how do you live with the threat of death over you every day? And at that time, she had been living with the threat of death for 40, 30 years. And she said, Ray, I don't worry about it. See, many of us worry about dying. And I think if you are truly committed to African people, you will not worry about death. There's an Aramaic word, it's called jegna. Has anybody heard of that word, jegna? It's from Ethiopia. And a jegna is a person, man or woman, who says, I don't care if I die as long as it is for my community. They know their culture, they know their history, and they say, I don't care if I die for my community. And see, my argument is that we don't have that many jegnas anymore.
What's the word again?
Jegna, J-E-G-N-A. You should look it up. George Jackson was a jegna. Malcolm was a jegna. Rosa Parks was a jegna. Another one. They were jegnas. See, and I don't want to call any names, but I could name some so-called national black or Negro leaders who I don't think they are jegnas. They get paid.
Do not let the media or politicians fool you with effective terms like left, right, fascism, etc. The issue is simply white supremacy.
It is white supremacy, and I know somebody said, well, we got to talk about the use of the word fascist. Of course the United States is fascist. Donald Trump is a white supremacist who is a fascist. We know that.
Absolutely.
But the issue, and they said that he's having problems with people calling him a white supremacist. He is a white supremacist. But the media sometimes, I will see black people being interviewed, and the media will say, do you think Donald Trump is a racist? You should say, why are they still asking that question? It's obvious that he is a racist. I ain't got time to get into it. Go to the next one.
The white supremacists are on an ethnic cleansing campaign. They have set up a system to kill you with impunity.
Baltimore is being ethnically cleansed. We call it gentrification, but it's a form of ethnic cleansing. Let's keep going. I could spend a whole hour on each one of these. Keep going. We almost through.
You are under no obligation to allow white supremacist terrorists to murder you.
Right. How many?
Defend yourself at all costs.
That's right.
That's right.
I mean, look, you like Malcolm said, a person who says that they're going to turn the other cheek while you're getting beat up, they're out of their mind. And see, again, Black August, again, is for what I call the part of black history that white folks don't like to talk about. And that's about defense, it's about retaliation, and so forth. Okay, let's read the other one. We'll read these back.
Don't let any non-black groups pacify you with marches, church visits, prayers, and sympathy. If they are not willing to punish white supremacist terrorists for harming you, they are wasting your time.
Look, I have real problems with the term white allies. White allies. Because a lot of white allies are put in our community to tell us to calm down, to relax. James Baldwin said that a white liberal is a person who knows more about your struggle than you do. And they don't. They don't. So, you know, don't be fooled by, I know we want to say, well, we're going to make alliances across, you know, racial lines and stuff like that. We have to feel as black people that we can man and woman our own struggle. Let's go to the next line. We got 2 more to go.
Yes, we do.
All right.
There is no quote-unquote moral high ground. There's no moral high ground needed to defend yourselves from terrorism. Cheating is allowed when it comes to your survival.
Right. I mean, to defend yourself, you have to do anything by any means necessary. And again, we oftentimes, you know, say that about Malcolm, but do we really mean it? By any means necessary. And the last one.
I love this. You are in a war, not a protest. Don't show up to the battlefield with just an iPhone or flip-flop.
And And what does that mean? You know, a lot of my students in Morgan will ask me, well, Dr. Winbush, y'all used to march all the time and the world changed. You know, so we marched in Birmingham, we marched in Memphis, they shot King in Memphis. Why don't march? See, now marching is different. You got to go downtown and get a permit. And they say you can march between the hours of 1 o'clock in the afternoon to 3 o'clock in the afternoon on that street, and then after that you get your black butt home. That's what they tell you. So we are even controlled now by how we demonstrate and protest. We are at war. You don't protest the war, you engage the enemy. We have to do that, and a lot of us don't. If they can make you think the way they want you to think, that is their greatest weapon. I'm not saying the guns and submarines and rocket ships and all that, but the greatest weapon is how we think.